Hey y'all, it's me, Dr. Ashley Gaddy Robbins, and I am so happy to be able to sit down in community with you and talk to you about the book process. Before I get started with anything behind the scenes, walking y'all through how it happened, first let me just say glory be to God. Because I know that it is all of this happens because of God's grace and because of the calling I feel has been placed on my life, and really through the surrendering process that has really allowed me to be in a position to even put these books out. I had to really kind of position my heart's posture in a place to listen and to receive and to be guided and to be instructed, which means I had to kind of prune and still pruning pride, ego, control, judgment from my heart. So before we even jump into how this went down, that had to go down first for me to even be in a heart's posture to even do this. So I cannot go on without even just proclaiming God's grace and mercy and provision that allowed me to even get here. So, what are we talking about? We talking about these, baby. We are talking about my two new published guidebooks, Everyday Resistance Strategies, a guidebook to help you cope and thrive, and the Just Us Model Guidebook, which is a facilitator's guide for human centered dialogue. These just launched last Friday, August 15th. And I really just wanted to talk to y'all about kind of how the process of publishing, self publishing these two books came about. Like, what is the context? What was the actual process? Because, baby, let me tell you one thing, a book cover almost messed me up. You feel me? Let me tell you, this book cover and this book cover dimensions, let me be very clear. Book cover dimensions almost messed me up, but I was able to persevere and press on. So if you have not already, get your copy of Everyday Resistance Strategies and the Just Us Model. They're very practical resources to how to have hard conversations, especially conversations and conflict around identity. People just get really scared and nervous about how to have hard conversations around identity and self-advocacy. I just did a training where we used the Just Us model to help educators self-advocate to their administration for what they need. And so it's a very powerful resource. And then Everyday Resistance Strategies is a very practical resource in the ways in which we can commit to practicing aspects of self and community care that serve as resistance in a world that has tried to shape our norms and our expectations and our livelihood. So that is just a very high level at the top of the video to let you know that you want these books. There's a link in the description. Please make sure you click that link and you purchase these guidebooks today. Let's talk through it. How did we even get here in the first place? Before they were even books, kind of even how did we come into this? So, for folks who have been following, I started my doctoral research, or my doctoral program in 2013, and I graduated in 2023. So, yes, if you are doing the math, it took me 10 years to do just the doctorate, not the undergrad and the master's. Nope, just the doctorate. I spent 17 years total in school, and 10 of those years were just getting the doctorate degree. And when I was thinking about what my dissertation or my research topic was going to be, I always knew it was going to be centered, one, around Black women, because our stories deserve to be told in all forms and to showcase that we're not a monolith. But I knew that my research was going to have some kind of education and liberatory factor. As a person who studies Black feminist theory, and just I hear my one of my mentors in my head who served on my dissertation committee, honey, we are not going to sit here and just steep in the pain and oppression of Black folks. The beauty and power of us is that we actually have the ability to persevere, to resist, to be liberated, and our liberation within ourselves. So we're not about to sit here and harp on all the barriers and all the oppressions. No, no. I'm going to tell the ways in which we move forward, we move on. And so that's how that's the high level of what I knew this dissertation was going to be. As I took classes, I really came into this idea that in the theory of biopolitics, which is the management of populations through policy or through culture, if you will. And so, what are the ways in which bodies are being managed, full populations are being managed, kind of at the intentionality and cost of policy? One kind of example of that is looking at birth control. How is the birth rate of populations, who can have children, who should not have children, who they don't want to have children, how is that regulated through this process of birth control, through this theory, through this concept, through this practice of birth control? Who is that advertised to? How is it pitched to certain communities? How is it offered to certain communities? This sends a message about who we want to reproduce and who we do not want to reproduce. So I put all of that together, and basically what I defended in May of 2023 was what I coined everyday resistance strategies. It is the ways in which Black women who receive government assistance, the ways in which they cope, thrive, resist, persist, and dissent against systems of power that try to attack their body, whether that be reproduction, motherhood, or just the understanding of their bodies. Now, my dissertation specifically looks at Trump, COVID, and the murder of George Floyd, or race relations. But all of those come together to try to have an attack on Black women's bodies. But my research is steeped in their everyday resistance strategies. What are the things that they are doing every day to really press on against these systems? So that is kind of where the topic began. And since I have defended, first of all, I had to rest because, baby, 10 years is a long time. I had to rest. 10 years is a long time. But then I asked the question, what am I going to do with this? Well, before I can answer that question, I also created this framework called the Just Us model. And the Just Us model, I think also in 2023, maybe 2024, the Just Us model is a framework that I created to really help people have hard conversations. What I was seeing is that people could talk about everything else, but the moment it was time to address some harm that had been done, specifically, especially around a specific identity or identity group, folks would just have a hard time. Now, if we unpeel those layers, there's a lot of reasons why people have a hard time. This is not that video, but they were struggling. And so I said, how do I create a framework that really centers the humanity of us to be able to preserve the relationship after having hard conversations? Conflict is a part of relationships. If anything, it's actually an aspect of relationships that can bring you closer together, that can make you feel like you are better connected. So the Just Us model that I created was doing just that. How do we move past this hard conversation and preserve the relationship we already have? Now, of course, I'm not condoning major harm. This is for your everyday occurrences where it's like, ouch, that really, I got offended, or ouch, that really hurt my feelings. We need to talk about that. I'm not feeling seen. I'm not feeling valued, whatever the case may be. In this case of the session I just did, educators were like, look, I need to advocate for myself. I feel like I am deemed invisible, and that is a problem. And here's what I need. And yes, there is a difference in power because I'm talking to my supervisor, but I still have this model to help me craft this conversation and have this conversation. So I took that on the road, and when I did it in training, it was very well received. But I was like, there's another way that I need to put conversation and have this conversation. So I took that on the road, and when I did it in training, it was very well received. But I was like, there's another way that I need to put both this dissertation and this framework out. Let's talk about what 2025 is teaching me. 2025 is teaching me that there is so much happening. Well, there has been a lot happening for the past 5 years, especially. But 2025 specifically taught me that people need practical tools. And folks have been saying that for a very long time. We need something tangible, we need something practical. But this year, especially, they're like, with the fact that the reality is some of our past resources are being cut like no other. The funding that is being cut, the programs that are being cut, the initiatives, the resources, all of those things have a higher chance of being cut this year than any time before it in the past 5 years. If anything, in 2020, folks were feeding money and feeding funding to topics like well-being, wellness, inclusion, equity, justice. These are the topics that folks were throwing money to. But in 2025, it has become blatantly clear that there is a high probability that folks just do not have access to the same resources. And so I had to pause and think to myself, what are the ways that I can make my framework, my research practical for everyone? That means, now if you know me, I ain't never been a person I'm in the academy, but I am not of the academy. Okay? Like, can I exist there? Do I know how to function there? Yes, but baby, I am a bridge to the streets. Even how I'm talking now, you're like, are you sure you got a PhD? Read the shirt. I do, but baby, that is not where I am situated. That degree don't mean much to me when it's time and matters of the heart and when it is matters of people's lives. So I said, how do we get away from the academy and make this stuff practical for anyone to use? And what does practicality look like? So if you are thinking about producing a journal or a guidebook or a workbook of some sort, you really want to position it in a way that leaves people not only with knowledge, but allows them to be interactive with activities, prompts, etc., for them to be able to self-reflect and self-explore. And that's what I wanted people to do with these guidebooks. So this started in May of 2025. I had a thought because shout out to Brandon. Brandon, if you're watching this video, you know who you are. I literally hit him up because he is like one of the top cheerleaders of the Just Us model. And I was like, I have this idea. I want to turn the Just Us model into a book. And when it is ready, would you be able to review it for me, because you have been a champion of this model. You literally use it in your daily professional and personal practice. I would love to have your eyes on it. And he said, yes, of course. And I really did have all the intention to create then. But y'all, when I tell you, when I started all these videos saying like I've been pruning, I've also just been really just trying to get work. Right? So these rollbacks and these cuts and these changes of languages, y'all, I'm not talking to you about them for your situation. I'm talking about them for me and my situation. I am a consultant that does the work of people of culture, of inclusion, of, like coaching that really focuses on authenticity and your authentic self and releasing code switching. That is the work that I do. I am the person whose researches in dismantling systems. So yeah, my work is also under attack. And so quite honestly, I just needed to get some money. We just needed to be in a place where I could be comfortable enough and this house could be comfortable enough for me to even be in a posture to create. And I think there's a lesson in that, right? When a person is overtaxed, when a person is in intense labor, when a person is overtaxed or in intense labor, it prevents the ability to create. And we may actually find that is actually strategically done by power. Power wants you to be so overworked that you don't even feel like you can create. You need to be thinking about, you need to be worrying so much. You need to be thinking about your bills and overthinking so much that you don't even feel like you can create. So not only is that power, for my believers, that's also the enemy, but we're going to keep it moving because, baby, I said not so. I had to put myself in a position where I could just get it done. And so when some work came through and I was in a place where I could feel a little more settled, I said, now is the time. So I started having these conversations in June. I started in May, and then in June, I hit up my girl, Aisha. And Aisha Majid, shout out to her, hire her. I will put her email in the description. Aisha came in and she brought it to life. So how did this book start? I literally had the Just Us model because I had already created it. And I had a PowerPoint slide deck or a Canva slide deck, a presentation. And then I literally had chapter 6 of my dissertation. That was all I had, and I wanted to make it into these. I gave Aisha a PowerPoint and chapter 6 of my dissertation. And I was like, I know what I want to do. I know I want it to feel like a guidebook, but this is all I got. And if you know me, you know I do not do aesthetics. I am not real. I know what I like. I can see the vision, but I do not really do well with aesthetics. I never have. I'm just now teaching myself how to do a landing page and teaching myself CapCut and Canva and all of these resources. But baby, you want something to look good, do not come over here. You want content to be fire, you want the delivery to really hit with the audience, come over here. But if you want something to look pretty, do not come over here. But Aisha, I worked with Aisha. I met Aisha in 2013 when I started working at George Mason, and we worked there together. We connected, and she is a dear friend. She is also a soror, and that just really created our bond. So I handed it all over. First of all, get you a designer. If that's not your calling, because it's not mine, get you a designer that really not only understands how to lay things out, but also who knows you, who can really hear your tone and your vibe. Luckily, I have the privilege of being in friendship with Aisha, so this is something that was very easy. I didn't have to say much. I did not have any idea of how I wanted this book mapped out. But baby, she gave me the proofs. And let me also say that this was also a quick turnaround on wanting a draft because by now I knew that I would be a guest on Friend Forward, which is a podcast by Danielle Bayard Jackson. And she is a wonderful relationship manager and coach and friendship coach. A lot of people know her for being a female friendship coach. She's major on social media. She's been on Good Morning America, Forbes. She's been on Mel Robbins' podcast. So when I got the invitation to be on her podcast, first of all, humble, thank you, Jesus. But also, like, I want to be able to tell the audience about something that they can get from listening to this podcast. I want to make a deliverable available. So I said, by the time this podcast airs, I want to be able to have this book available. I knew I was shooting on June 15th. And I said, Aisha, is it possible to have the draft by June 14th? So that by the time I am doing the podcast interview, I can at least have an idea of what it looks like and what it's going to be able to offer. She said she could get it to me by that deadline. And we went back and forth a couple of times. We had a great call as she was working, and then she finished the drafts. And y'all, I melted. I literally melted because there was nothing in me that could conceptualize the beauty of these books. I knew what I wanted them to feel like. I knew I had an idea of what I wanted the aesthetic to be, but y'all, Aisha Majid turned this content, a PowerPoint deck, and a literal chapter of a research paper. And she turned them into this. She turned them, look at this artwork. Look at the intentionality of this artwork, of this design. She took my words and she was able, like I literally wrote these words, but she was able to put them into the context of a book, of a guidebook. She made them come to life, pages upon pages. Seeing your words in a draft to be published is like, wow. So we went through feedback, sent it to Brandon, kind of coming back full circle. But I was still also like, how do I get this thing published? Well, luckily, I know brilliant people who have self published. And one of them is Jalen, my good friend and soror, Jalen. And she had just released this amazing book. Also, going to put that link into the description. And I was like, all right, sis, how do I do this? I also had my very good friend and colleague, Jay Dwayne. He just released his book. Can we write? Can I just write? I'll put it in the description. I'm telling you, fire books. You need to buy these books as well. And I was like, how do y'all publish? How do we get it on Amazon? I love people who share knowledge. Sharing knowledge is a form of community. And I asked them, how did y'all get y'all books on Amazon? And they were able to walk me through. Kindle Direct Publishing is the publisher of Amazon. It is not your Amazon account. So you would need to create another account through KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. Once you create your account, you literally hit the button create book. And from there, you are able to upload your manuscript and your cover and say what size you want, say what, color scheme, or like the premium color, standard color. You get to choose your categories. This is where you really are in charge. Does Amazon have to approve it? Does it have to be within certain standards and guidelines? Yes, but you are creating your book. So I created a Kindle Direct Publishing account, and all I had to do was like upload the final version. So after Aisha and I went back and forth and she was able to do the final edits, that took about a week or so, I had the manuscript. But then there became this question: what size do you want the book? And when I had thought about a size, Aisha sent me three, like a 6-inch, I think, a 7.5 by 9.5, and then like a regular sheet of paper at 8 by 11. And what I knew I wanted the audience to feel like, I didn't want it to feel like a big, like, pack your book bag workbook. I wanted it to be small enough where you could kind of put it in a little tote. But I also wanted it to be large enough where you could write and actually do the activities. I wanted to give you space and room to write. And I was very intentional. Me and Aisha talked about this too. She resized the manuscript to be 7 by 9, but the book options in KDP are 7.5 by 9.5, which means that the book content was going to be a little smaller than the book size. So it was going to leave this white margin here. And I actually preferred that because I'm a person, first of all, my handwriting is big and it's also really sloppy. So I actually love space in the margins. Imagine like when you're highlighting your Bible or you're reading something good or taking notes in class, you really sometimes go outside the margin. You really write your good stuff in the margins. So I was actually okay with the book having that white strip because I want to give y'all the ability to get all of your thoughts out. And sometimes that happens in the margins. And so when we talked about the size of the book, I said 7 by 9, but Kindle Publishing has it 7.5 by 9.5. So it was time for me to upload the book. I had the manuscript, it fit within the margins. I chose premium color because I just wanted the colors to pop. I really wanted it to have a richness to the aesthetic and the color. I chose a glossy finish. And then it was time for the cover. Baby, let me tell you something about that book cover. So as you can see, Aisha designed a beautiful cover. She sent it to me in a PDF form. I said, okay, I'll upload this. What I was not thinking about was the back cover. Amazon was like, submit art that is this length. You needed artwork that was this long and this high, not this. So when I went to go upload the book cover and I just uploaded this in this format, it stretched this and put the barcode over the picture. And I was like, how in the world am I going to, how do I do this? Like, how do I make the book cover just over here so that it's not, the picture was literally smack dab in the middle of the spine because I had just uploaded a PDF like this. So I did try to do a little research. There was the dimensions guide, but I saw it, but I didn't download it, so I didn't know what to do. Reached out once again to my friend Jalen, people who have published before. As you can tell, a theme of this video is community and people sharing knowledge. I reached out to Jalen again, and she was just like, download the dimensions guide and then put your artwork within the dimensions. Because let me tell you something. I had already ordered a proof of these guidebooks, so you can get a proof shipped to you before it goes live. I had already ordered a proof, and when I ordered the proof, it came out wrong because, I don't know if I have it. It came out wrong because I didn't have the cover right. So I was like, okay, at least I got a proof so I can see. It came back messed up. Thankfully, you're able to go back in and make edits because Amazon also said, you actually need an IBN, which is an identification book number. You actually need an IBN for this book in order to publish it. So when they came back saying it was not approved, that was the opportune time for me to make the book cover right. And it was an opportune time for me to create an IBN. And then I asked for 2 more proofs. So here are the videos of me getting my proofs. Y'all, I was so super excited. Like, this felt so cool. Even though it was like proof, cannot distribute, it felt so good. It was time to hit submit in Kindle Direct Publishing and go live. Y'all, I was literally checking my email like this because I was like, is it approved? Is it live? Is it live? Because baby, once it's live, the links are there. Now, this is a sidebar to say I am giving you the behind the scenes of the hard copy. I also submitted through Kindle Direct Publishing. You can also submit the manuscript and the dimensions for Kindle. And so I did that. Now, let me also just share that the podcast aired prior to me releasing these books. Like literally 2 days before the electronic copy, or it released before the hard copies. Luckily, thankfully, when it released, I had the Kindle version because the Kindle version approves a lot faster than the hard copy. So I was able to send Danielle a link to the Kindle version, but I knew I wanted people to experience this in hard copy. And originally, y'all, this was supposed to be just the ebook. When I had this idea back in May, it was supposed to be just an ebook. But thankfully, I was able, like, again, thank you, Holy Spirit, like, guided me. It's like, no, baby, you need to put this in hard copy. You need to give, again, practical, tangible tools. You don't want them to just read on a Kindle or just download. You want people are really craving pen to paper. Folks are really craving quiet time to hold something hard in their hand, tangible in their hand. The society right now is just making folks crave humanity. And I want to be able to give them a piece to do that with. So that's just a sidebar that there is a Kindle version. Feel free to download that if you're a Kindle person, but this gives you the activities like that you can write in. So I'll never forget Kindle email saying, your book is live. Your book is published. I then became a published author. And I had published an essay in a magazine before. Shout out to Spoken Black Girl magazine. I do have a chapter that's about to be published in a textbook. So shout out to scholarly writing. But I had not published anything myself. And y'all, it felt so good. So you get to order author copies. And also when you submit your book to be approved, it tells you how much it's going to cost to print each book. So it told me the amount that it costs to print each book, and you can put your price range. Let me just give you some context about the pricing of this book. Both of these books on Amazon are $17.99. I was very specific about wanting to make sure that it was affordable. This is some great, especially this Just Us, baby. This is some quality, affordable professional development. Because once again, the things that are getting cut in budgets right now is professional development. People are no longer able to travel for conferences. People are no longer able to bring in the big speakers, but their people still need and deserve professional development of how they can gain skills. Baby, hit me up. I am so serious. Hit me up if you want a batch order of these, because the batch order price is slightly different than the one-off price. You really want to consider this facilitator's guide to having hard conversations and really centering humanity in hard conversations as professional development. So my email address is on my bio. My email address is in the description. My email address is on all platforms. Please reach out if you want a bulk order for your team or for your staff or for your organization. So I knew I wanted an affordable price, but I also knew it was like, baby, this is from your research. This is from those 10 years. This is from piloting this framework at institutions and in organizations. Like, this ain't just some made up stuff. This is a reflection, an extension, if you will, from your research. And so I settled on the price of $17.99. Quite honestly, I also prayed about it, and I really asked God, like, Lord, what is a digestible price? Because I want folks to feel like they can afford this while also honoring the research, the women that I talked to do the everyday resistance strategies research, the time it took for me to do Just Us. I really want it to be a reflection of both. And so I settled on $17.99, and that is the context behind my price. Now, do I offer, if I'm selling these at an event or after a keynote of some sort, I'll probably offer it for 15, just because you're buying right now in person directly from me. And I get to, sign the copy or whatever. So that's some context behind the price. You do get to set the price, but Amazon or Kindle Direct Publishing gives you how much it costs per the information you put in. And then you can purchase author copies. And so I purchased author copies, and then they arrived. So here is me. Baby, here is me opening these books for the first time. Now, mind you, I already was thinking about the launch. I already knew the aesthetic that I wanted to have for this launch. So literally the day of the photo shoot, and when I say photo shoot, I mean an iPhone, a ring light, and my beautiful husband, and the Face app, a photo editor, When I tell you, I'm literally opening the books on almost in the same moment that I am about to do this photo shoot. And so I am just like beaming and also scared and also nervous. But here are the books. And I opened them, and this
My
is
books
when
have arrived. New merch. They're here.
So let's very quickly, I'm gonna just talk about the launch. So I knew that I wanted to build up a countdown, if you will. So I have my email community. If you're not on my email list, please make sure you subscribe to my email list, because that is where you get information about me just as a person. You get first dibs, you get perks, you get discounts. Like, this is where I really talk to my people. So sign up for my email list if you haven't already. But I knew that I wanted to release it to my email community first. So as I was doing the campaign, 7 days, 6 days, 5 days, I was making folks know that something big was coming. And in order to get access to it first, you had to subscribe to my email. I am so happy to announce, like, I now have over 200 email subscribers. And that feels so good, because I have built this email community brick by brick. Shout out to Chelsea. Shout out to Antoine back in 2024, who helped me with MailChimp to get all of that set up. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was about to have a big keynote at a conference, and I needed to get people into some type of, pipeline. So I now have over 200 subscribers through MailChimp, creating a landing page. And I said, comment here, and then I'll send you the link to sign up to my email community. Every day I was blasting it on my Instagram story, and I was also putting it on my link tree. So folks, I told folks I'm releasing on Friday, but if you sign up for my email community, you will get it on Thursday. So I did the photo shoot here at the house. I kind of had the look of Everyday Resistance Strategies, be more calm and reflective. And then the Just Us model, I wanted that to feel like more like, something you would wear in the workplace. And like I said, I did that in my house. So you can see the background. That is my social media background. It's very familiar to my photo background. Yes. So that was the case for that. And then I was gathering everything up. By also what's happening behind the scenes before launch, I'm also working with my web developer to create a product page. Can I just also time out? I want to shout out the Let's Hustle tribe. Shout out to Kendra. Kendra, I'm sorry, your name is escaping me, but I'm going to put her social media right here. That's her social media. Follow her. She is the founder of the Let's Hustle tribe. It is a kingdom entrepreneur creator based community that is really helping us be obedient to God and partner with God in everything we do, especially our business. And so literally before I launched this, I joined the 7-day free trial. It was a 30-day challenge. Before you post anything, ask God what he feels about your content. Submit your content to God. Submit your ideas to God. And y'all, literally by day 3, we had a live Zoom space, and I got selected to have a sales audit done on my website. When I say in the best way, tore me to shreds, because I forgot what I was going to do before making a product page. But one of the people who was guiding the conversation, Kendra's brother, Dom, he said, baby, you need a product page. Here's an idea of a product page that we do. You need people coming to this page for everything. Your website is not where you sell. Your website has everything about you. And quite honestly, you got a lot going on your website, working on that. But you need a product page where you can really say, come here to buy this book. So that conversation, I am so grateful to God for the timing of his presence and message to me, because I was able to take whatever idea I was going to do before. I was going to do a pop up on my website. But he was like, if you do a pop up, they're going to be distracted by so many other things. Do a product page. Literally later that day, I got on the phone with my web developer and I was like, let's do a product page. Here's a feel, here are some pictures, here are the links. Because the book is now published on Amazon, but it's not public out loud. So I had the links. She created this product page. I fell in love with it because I really do like the pictures. Oh, the pictures are just so pretty. Shout out to my husband. So we did a product page. So I knew that every link that is about this book, you will see that product page. You want them to go to one place to buy your books, right? And so we were creating that on the back end. I was creating the email communication on the back end. And mind you, I'm also on vacation. This is all happening. I didn't even think about it. This is all happening while I am in delivering some content and also in Hilton Head on family vacation. I had a lot going on in my head this week, but we were able to work it out. I knew August. I wanted to launch on a Friday. I wanted to launch in Black Business Month. And so it was time for launch. So I knew that we were going to go out as a family on Thursday afternoon. I didn't want to do it Thursday morning because, again, I just wanted to lessen the amount of kind of it being revealed. So I set it for 4:30 on Thursday for the email to go out. And it went out. And instantly, folks started purchasing and folks started responding and replying to me. I did a giveaway through the email community as well. So I gave out 2 books, but I did not announce the giveaway on socials because it was just for my email community. So shout out to Jordan and Joellen. You're the winner. They won the books. And then I knew at 9 a.m. on Friday I wanted to launch. And I did. I've sold 100 books in 1 week. Like, that's so like wild and great. I also hopefully will be able to show a publisher, look, here's what I can do by myself independently. So you might as well. You might as well give me this book deal. 100 books. I've already signed copies. I've already sold. Oh, they're also on TikTok Shop. So if you're like, I'm a TikTok Shop person, go over to TikTok. They're in my TikTok Shop. I've sold on TikTok. I've sold batch orders already. An organization, one of my clients ordered 60 Just Us model professional books for their professional development for all their educators who teach 3-year-olds. I am full. So that's how we got here. From my 10-year doctoral journey to having the idea, but it not being the right time. And then for everything falling into place when I surrendered to God. So this is your motivation. Publish the book, write the thing, create the thing. And let me tell you this, if nobody bought my books, I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I was told to do. But I am so glad that folks are resonating with it. And I cannot wait for the rest of to just keep sharing with y'all the book. So come back to my YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube. If you have not already, subscribe to my YouTube because you are going to want to listen to the series that I have coming out around these books. You're going to want to look out for the lives. You're going to want to look out for me kind of breaking down the meanings of these strategies. You're going to want this. So go ahead, follow me on social media, subscribe to my YouTube. Thank you for staying this long, and I cannot wait. Peace.